evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Bruce Frisco. Todd Battis is on assignment tonight. It is Monday, the 15th of December. This is CTV News. Tonight, snow joke, another winter wallop 10 days before Christmas. Tapping out community concerns about a proposed natural gas plant.
Colder tomorrow, but temperatures rise into late week with Friday looking rainy and windy.
Live from our Maritimes News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Bruce Frisco.
Good evening. Midway through December and the storm days in Nova Scotia are piling up. Cape Breton once again got some of the worst of it today, where the morning started off with plenty of cancellations and some car accidents. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald.
People in Sydney and surrounding communities woke up yet again today to whiteout conditions and cancellations, and the roads were really a mess on people's way into work.
Black ice under the snow, and we've had 8 reported motor vehicle accidents so far today.
Constable Gary Fraser of the Cape Breton Regional Police says most of them were single vehicle accidents with cars sliding off the road. While no serious injuries were reported, Fraser says it speaks to how drivers here don't normally deal with these kinds of conditions this often, this early in the season.
We're not used to this. We're used to it being nice up into Christmas.
We had to cancel curbside collection for the garbage collection today, which is unusual because that usually means that we had some very slippery conditions.
Classes were cancelled yet again in both the Cape Breton, Victoria and Strait regional centres for education. Schools were delayed opening in the Halifax area. The CBRM says while there is still plenty of time for things to normalise, it's been a tough start to the winter when it comes to their annual snow removal budget.
We've been very fortunate in some recent years where the snow removal kind of started late, very late. We're definitely starting early this year.
I got to laugh at some of these people say, oh, we got a little bit of snow.
In Halifax, where the messy weather came through mostly overnight, plenty of people started their day shoveling. This man says these early blasts of snow and ice remind him of winters from years gone by.
When we were growing up, we got snow early December. We're sliding all in December. Fences would be underground, under the snow, and we wouldn't see the fence no more till March.
Today's wintry mess and the cleanup that is to follow comes just in time for the city's annual winter parking ban, which officially takes effect tonight, both here in the Cape Breton Regional Municipality and in Halifax. And winter still doesn't officially start until this coming Sunday. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Okay, here's a live look at Antigonish, where it's currently -7 and the roads snow covered there as well. We'll get our first look at the weather now with Kaylin Mitchell. Who got the most snow from this one?
Well, looks like the big winner for the overall highest snowfall totals out of this particular weather system were eastern areas of Nova Scotia, spots through Pictou, Antigonish County, and especially into Cape Breton, and especially up in the Cape Breton Highlands. Now, these initial snowfall reports for this weather system span Sunday into Monday morning, and there was still snow falling and accumulating for areas to the east of the region, probably pretty steady at times still, especially in locations in Cape Breton. So it wouldn't surprise me if the overall snowfall totals are a little bit higher than these first reported numbers. But you can see the interior area of Cape Breton was in the range of around 13 to 17 centimeters. I'm sure there must have been some spots that cleared 20 within there. Last check, North Mountain was up to around 30 centimeters of snow, catching additional snow from snow squalls off the Gulf of St. Lawrence. At the Sydney Airport, 7 centimeters of snow initially reported, but again, that was early this morning. And then there was likely additional snow that came down and accumulated throughout the day. Eastern parts of Prince Edward Island picked up around 10 to 15 centimeters of snow. I did receive a report this afternoon from a viewer in New Glasgow of 20 centimeters there. And then other parts of Nova Scotia picked up some snowfall amounts ranging between around 5 and 15 centimeters of snow. The snow was much, much lighter through the province of New Brunswick. Now, we're not quite done with it yet as we take a look at things on radar. I mentioned the risk of some snow squalls. This will be in that gusty northwest wind that, aside from bringing in some snow squalls off the Northumberland Strait and the Gulf of St. Lawrence to parts of the north shore of Nova Scotia and Cape Breton, is also creating a lot of blowing and drifting snow around parts of the Maritimes that picked up fresh snowfall accumulations over the last 24 hours. So, of course, that can blow the snow back into areas that were previously cleared and certainly still lead to some slippery road conditions. So just be aware of that. The winds are going to be gradually diminishing as we move through tonight. An additional snowfall outlook, though, all the way through tomorrow shows that in most cases, any remaining flurries tonight and tomorrow will produce some amounts from trace up to around a few centimeters locally, with potential for some higher snowfall amounts around eastern parts of Prince Edward Island, parts of Pictou and Antigonish counties in Nova Scotia, and into Inverness and Victoria counties. That would be because of the risk of those snow squalls. Going to have more on the forecast and why the next weather system, Bruce, looks like it's going to be more rainy and windy, and that one I'm back a little bit later on.
All right, thank you, sir. The full forecast coming up shortly, as a matter of fact. CTV News has learned Halifax Water has launched an investigation into possible financial irregularities. The utility is saying very little about this, but did confirm to CTV News an investigation is underway by an independent third party to gather facts. In an email, a spokesperson said the company committed to a thorough and fair internal review. Brittany Smith adding, to protect the integrity of the process and ensure fairness, quote, Halifax Water will maintain strict confidentiality during these investigations. The utility also won't comment on specifics, including who's involved and why police have not been included in the probe. RCMP at Nova Scotia have charged a man with second-degree murder following an incident in Beaverbank Friday night. Emergency officials responding to a reported assault at a home on Beaverbank Road. This was around 8 p.m. Friday. Police say they found a man with life-threatening injuries and performed first aid, but he died at the scene. Officers located and arrested a suspect nearby shortly after. 20-year-old Evan Wheaton of Beaverbank has been charged with second-degree murder. He remains in custody and was set to appear in Dartmouth Provincial Court today. RCMP say the victim and the accused were known to each other, and the incident is not believed to be random. Meantime, RCMP in northern New Brunswick are looking for help from the public for a homicide investigation. Officers responding to reports of a man's sudden death on Thursday morning in the community of Lorne, that's in Restigouche County. RCMP suspect foul play was involved. They're asking anyone with video footage from the area last Wednesday or Thursday to contact them. Major announcement concerning a prime piece of real estate in HRM to tell you about tonight. Shannon Park has been named the site of a 930-home building project that will be cost-shared by the federal and provincial governments. CTV's Jonathan McGuinness has details.
Currently, the only residents of Shannon Park are a few deer. That's going to change.
Today, I'm proud to announce a major partnership between the Government of Canada and the province of Nova Scotia.
That partnership will build up to 1,430 new homes across Nova Scotia, 500 in yet-to-be-disclosed locations around the province. Another 930 of them will go up on the 35-hectare former military housing site in Dartmouth. $120 million is coming from the federal government. The province of Nova Scotia is opening its wallet for another $180 million.
By combining federal and provincial resources, we're not only accelerating the delivery of thousands of homes at Shannon Park, but we're also creating a community with schools, childcare spaces, and supports that families need to thrive.
It's a great leap forward.
Of the 930 Shannon Park homes, 300 will be public, supportive, or transitional housing. 250 are going to be offered at a minimum of 40% below market value. The remaining 380 will be sold at market rate. To help make it happen, City Council will discuss lowering or waiving development fees, property tax abatement, or the issuing of grants.
I will say this is subject to council approval, so I'll be making that case to the council, and I think the case makes itself, so I don't expect there'll be a problem there, but very much looking forward to that conversation.
The military housing at Shannon Park was torn down between 2015 and 2017. It has been vacant since. Nova Scotia's housing minister is eager to see life return to the area.
The plans we have for Shannon Park will bring the vitality and life back to this community.
As for how long it will take to complete this project, the province says it will be done in stages over several years. Ground will be broken here in 2026. Jonathan McGuinness, CTV News, Dartmouth.
Thank you, John. And just a reminder, for more on that story or anything you're seeing tonight, you can always visit our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. A barn in Middle Musquodoboit has been destroyed by fire. As you can see, not much left of the structure, which is near the Halifax County exhibition grounds. No people or animals were harmed in the blaze. The building was being used for storage, we're told. Fire broke out just after 6:30 last night, but firefighters were back this morning to continue dousing the hot spots. In all, about 40 firefighters, including several volunteer departments, were called in to help battle.
So when the building is a total loss like that, it's going to take them a while to sift through the rubble to try to determine a cause. Have investigators on site now and will likely be there for a day or two to try to sort out a cause and figure out what transpired there.
And indeed, an excavator arrived this afternoon to sift through the rubble and prevent any more flare-ups in that fire. New Brunswick is spending more than $2.5 million to support 50 communities with their plans to combat wildfires in the future. The money comes from a larger $40 million announcement made earlier in February this year to improve wildfire preparedness. The cash includes federal money. It will go toward creating strategic frameworks tailored to community-specific challenges with wildfires. The Natural Resources Minister points out the impact it can have when fires get close to homes, like they did this past summer with the Irishtown blaze.
We had about 300 homes that were in a perimeter that were on almost an immediate evacuation list. So doing these kind of things means that at least we can fight wildfires as opposed to them actually being structure fires in communities, which really do put New Brunswick communities and families at risk.
This past wildfire season in the province saw 442 fires. They scorched more than 3,400 hectares of forest. There's growing anger in Sackville, New Brunswick these days, where residents are not happy about a potential NB Power gas plant being built in the community. The province says there really isn't a choice in the matter, but that is not sitting well with the locals. CTV's Derek Haggett explains.
The signs say it all. Many residents in the Sackville area don't want NB Power's proposed plant in their backyard, especially Gord Jones, who's lived here for 33 years.
This is where I raised my family. I enjoy it here. This is my little paradise. Not planning on moving.
A proposed 400-megawatt natural gas plant to be built by an American company has been in the works for months now. On Friday, Premier Susan Holt said New Brunswick may not have enough energy for everyone in the very near future. The Tantramar location was picked, she said, because of cost and not having any other real alternatives.
I can appreciate and I feel the same that this is not an ideal site, but it doesn't appear that there is an ideal site.
The proposed plant would be just a kilometer away from Jones.
I say they should have thought of this sooner. I say there's all kinds of green power now. Why here? Of all places, why here?
The Atlantic Wildlife Institute believes saying there are no alternatives is misleading. Its executive directors think the site was chosen because it can be built cheaper and quicker than elsewhere. And they don't feel like their environmental concerns are being listened to.
They seem to have bypassed all of the normal checks and balances to protect our community here, to the point of where we were blindsided. This literally was announced without the knowledge of anybody in this community or the town knowing about it.
The town has been fighting it since day one, and last week council passed a motion expressing its opposition to the project. Representatives from NB Power will be here in Sackville on Wednesday night for a community information session. Both Gord Jones and Barry Rothfuss say they'll definitely be here. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Sackville, New Brunswick.
Speaking of power, the Point Lepreau nuclear generating station is back online after a 5-month maintenance outage. The work lasted 2 weeks longer than originally planned. That was due to a problem with a turbine bearing. We told you about that in this newscast. The shutdown cost NB Power between $1 million and $1.5 million a day purchasing the replacement electricity. That said, another outage is planned for the spring.
These maintenance outages are absolutely critical for us. Certain systems in the power plant we can only work on with the station shut down, so we take advantage of that opportunity to really focus on doing those reliability improvements, and that's why we take those outages. So spring of 2026 will be our next outage.
And for the record, that outage is scheduled to last 119 days. Gas prices in New Brunswick dropped almost 8 cents a litre over the weekend. You'll recall this comes after a member of Premier Susan Holt's office discovered the Energy and Utilities Board was calculating the weekly maximum price of fuel based on conventional gas. The kind used more often nowadays is called E10. That's a blend that includes ethanol. Nova Scotia made the price change last year. Holt assumed the new price would take effect on Friday, but the EUB intervened over the weekend and the price fell by 7.9 cents a litre on Saturday.
Get the Maritimes top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Air Canada is heralding the resumption of a daily non-stop flight between Fredericton and Ottawa, which was lost during COVID. And the airline says it's optimistic about adding even more flights in the region. Here's CTV's Nick Moore.
Air Canada's new daily flight from Fredericton to Ottawa is a return to a route that was eliminated during the pandemic.
For us, it's really a route that is based on a solid business case. If we look at increasing demand here from the community, the government sector, the defense sector, but also the business and the service sector. So it's all those demand that was factoring to take the decision to resume these new flights.
Air Canada has also updated its flight schedule from Fredericton to Toronto's Pearson International Airport, allowing for same-day travel with an early morning departure and late-night return.
We built this new terminal during the pandemic, and it was a bit quiet, so we're just happy to see our airlines adding service and serving our client, because we have also other service with WestJet and Porter and Sunwing and Transat.
Air Canada says it is optimistic about the future of adding flights and capacity in the Atlantic region.
Restoring connectivity after the pandemic was a challenge. From our perspective, we have new agreements with carriers that allow us to offer more capacity. For instance, in this case, the route will be operated with one of our partners, PAL Airline, that is based here in Atlantic Canada.
The airline is also launching a new daily direct year-round flight between Moncton and Ottawa. Nick Moore, CTV News, Lincoln, New Brunswick.
Hockey Canada has unveiled a national blueprint aimed at transforming the women's and girls' game across the country. It comes with an ambitious goal of seeing 170,000 players registered by 2030 and putting more women in leadership positions like head coach. CTV's Jesse Thomas has more.
Hockey Canada released its Rise as One report, a focus on the women's game with 14 national recommendations to grow and improve the sport from the grassroots to the highest levels.
The need for girls hockey and the demand for girls hockey is there. What we are saying is we just can't just expect year over year. We have to make dramatic changes in order to continue to blow through these type of goals.
At its core, the report calls for a national standardized youth development program with stronger national oversight. Nova Scotia's Corey Chevry has seen the game from every angle, as a player at St. Mary's University and now as a coach with the women's national team and as head coach of the Montreal Victoire in the PWHL.
I think we still continue to see growth in the women's game across the country, and being from the Maritimes and the Atlantic provinces, we're seeing growth there as well, not only with players but coaches, officiating, and bench staff.
The blueprint is pushing to grow leadership opportunities for women in the sport while also giving girls the same chances as boys to get on the ice and develop their skills.
Well, there wasn't really any just for girls organizations. It was mostly girls would just play on boys' teams.
St. Mary's forward Jill Duggan is in the final stretch of her university hockey career. She grew up playing competitive hockey with the boys until she was 13.
I honestly wouldn't change anything.
Across the country, 115,000 girls were registered in minor hockey last year. By 2030, Hockey Canada wants that number to climb past 170,000. Dugan has seen the sport evolve, and putting the women's game in the spotlight will help.
When I was younger, I looked up to girls on the Canadian team, but now they have like an actual league.
The PWHL is coming to Halifax on Wednesday, with Montreal taking on Toronto. It's a chance to see the best in the world.
It's just going to open the eyes. It's going to set dreams higher. It's going to really push the boundaries of what is possible in the Maritimes.
Jesse Thomas, CTV News, Halifax.
Thank you, Jesse. Still to come tonight, a cold and gusty night ahead. Kalen will be right back with his full forecast. Up next, though, a new lease on life.
We're trying to make this an experience where people can come down and have a community space.
Tell you about a century-old former department store in one maritime city that's getting a new life. That's next. Come on back. Well, the days of the sprawling downtown department store, of course, are largely gone, but a more than century-old building in downtown Sydney that used to be one of the biggest shops now has some new tenants. They're hoping to breathe new life not only into the building itself, but to a downtown core that has certainly had its ups and downs. Here's CTV's Ryan McDonald.
In generations past, the old Kroll's building on Charlotte Street in Sydney was a busy department store.
This building was the hub of downtown.
The building's history dates back well over 100 years. Now, 4 women have opened a new shop here, and they are looking to breathe new life into the old walls.
This is something completely different for Sydney.
Their idea was to create a space that is not really a traditional store per se, but more of a marketplace. Vintage items and antiques line the walls, and they are inviting people to come in and do more than just shop.
We're trying to make this an experience where people can come down and have a community space where they can sit and have a coffee from all the different shops, or come read a book from the local bookstores around here.
Our vision is really trying to bring the life back into downtown.
Sydney's downtown has had no shortage of challenges in recent years. A number of stores have closed, some other buildings are boarded up. While a lot of downtown businesses are closed in the evening, the owners of this store are staying open till 8 p.m. and hope some other businesses might follow suit.
Sharing it as an experience rather than just come down and shop is, I think, how we are going to able to curb the lack of consumers on Charlotte Street.
I was here at the good old days.
Gerd Bruchschwager is now selling some of his art out of the new space. His old tailor shop was on Charlotte Street during its heyday, and he too hopes that getting more people through the doors here might benefit the downtown.
And the specialty shops like this hopefully will bring it back to a better level.
While starting any new business in the downtown will likely have its challenges, for now it's a new chapter for an old building with a long and rich history. Ryan McDonald, CTV News, Sydney.
Thank you, Ryan. Coming up next, a mix of sun and cloud with flurries for some areas tomorrow. Kalen will have all those details when we return with your complete maritime weather forecast. Don't go anywhere. Okay, here's some good news in this cold, blustery day. The Halifax Skating Oval is officially open for the winter. Facility opened this morning for the season. It's open for skaters from 11 to 9 each weekday and from noon to 9 p.m. on weekends. I remember when they first opened that, there was some blowback. People were saying, well, this is a waste of time and money, but it's well used each and every year.
It's been a hit.
It has been a hit.
And even on a cold and windy day, look at that. We've got some brave souls out there taking advantage of it. I'm sure very bundled up because it was a little bit of a wicked wind that was coming in behind
It was
snow.
And still is, as you said.
Still is, absolutely. We'll get back to weather conditions in the Maritimes for tonight and tomorrow in just a moment. I do, however, want to start off talking about why the next bigger weather system for the region looks like it might end up more rainy than snowy. So let's take a look at what's going on with that. So this is coming up later this week. Thursday evening, strong developing storm making its way over the Great Lakes, but instead a passing to the south and east of the Maritimes, which would help keep colder air in place. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit more of an inside runner. In other words, taking a path that will likely take it up through the St. Lawrence River Valley. And what that does is it keeps us on the rainy, milder and windy side of that weather system. Winds will be out of the south and southwest. They would pick up to become quite high and gusty, though, on Friday, especially as we head into Friday evening and Friday night because of the pressure gradient around that storm system. But you can see it's expected to push in rain across much of the Maritimes, basically the southerly winds moving the colder air out of the way for it. So that's the next bigger weather system. It's headed our way towards the end of this week. Of course, we have things to talk about between now and then. Where is that weather system currently? It's still just sitting off the coast of BC, so it's got a long way to go before it arrives for us. Speaking of BC, they still have some rainfall warnings out for southern parts of BC. Victoria right now reporting rain, sitting at 14 degrees. Temperatures have come up in Alberta. Calgary right now sitting at 12 degrees. Edmonton at 6. It's still colder in northern Alberta. Fort McMurray sitting at -17. Some of the bitter cold has come out of the air in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, though most communities are sitting with temperatures below the freezing mark. Polar air in place for northern areas of Manitoba and extending into northern areas of Ontario, as well as northern Quebec and Labrador. Labrador City right now sitting at -18. Of course, getting into a west and northwest wind here in the Maritimes. We're feeling some of that cold, so -8 this hour. Fredericton, Halifax, and Charlottetown. And wind chills will be making it feel well down into the -teens across the region as we move through tonight. Even some -20s in the northwest of New Brunswick. Taking a look at our timeline, the other thing we need to be careful about is the fact that there are some snow squalls that have developed off the Gulf of St. Lawrence and Northumberland Strait. The risk will be highest around eastern parts of PEI, parts of Kings County, especially moving up towards areas like Surrey, for example, and Pictou-Antigonish counties and into areas of Cape Breton. Now, not everybody through those areas will see a snow squall, but those locations that do get into one, because remember, they're highly localized, they could pick up to become quite intense, and there are some warnings related to it. Additional snowfall amounts could be up to around 10 centimeters in some of those squalls. Poor visibility as well in blowing and drifting snow. Now, the risk of snow squalls for that part of the Maritimes does carry on into Tuesday morning, but the situation should improve by the afternoon for eastern parts of Prince Edward Island, the north shore of Nova Scotia, and then improve in Cape Breton by the time we get into early Tuesday evening. Other parts of the region for tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud with some isolated flurries. Winds in the forecast for Tuesday will be out of the west. They'll be sustained near 20 kilometers per hour with some gusts between 20 and 40, so not as gusty as it was today, but you'll notice it. There'll be a breeze out there, and the temperatures are still colder. Speaking of colder, it's a colder night across the region. A lot of low temperatures for many parts of the Maritimes. New Brunswick, -10 to -15, down around -8 for Prince Edward Island. A lot of lows for Nova Scotia, -11 to -7, except closer to -5 on parts of the coast. Highs for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick between -4 and -7, with central and southern areas of New Brunswick with high temperatures mostly between -4 and -1. Prince Edward Island tomorrow can expect afternoon high temperatures around -4, -5 for most communities. In Cape Breton, the high temperatures between -3 and -5, and same thing goes for the north shore and eastern shore of mainland Nova Scotia. Northern and central parts of the province tomorrow with high temperatures between -5 and -2. The Annapolis Valley will be chilly with highs around -3, 0 for Digby. A few communities on the south shore and southwest of Nova Scotia, coastal areas, could get up to around +1. Taking a look at the 7-day outlook for New Brunswick, cloudy periods on Wednesday. Temperatures come up just above the freezing mark. A mix of sun and cloud on Thursday. Temperatures turn milder on Friday, but that's because of that rainy and windy weather system moving through. And then it gets cold in behind it. There's a chance of flurries on Saturday, flurries in the forecast for Sunday. For Nova Scotia in the outlook, coming up on Wednesday, it's a milder day with cloudy periods, then a mix of sun and cloud on Thursday, turning rainy and windy late in the day on Friday, followed by colder air returning, so flurries in the forecast for Saturday, but a chance of showers during the day on Sunday. Monday, a mix of sun and cloud. And finally, for Prince Edward Island, the forecast mostly cloudy on Wednesday. Thursday, a mix of sun and cloud, rainy and windy on Friday. Colder air follows in behind that weather system, so a chance of flurries Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Bruce.
All right, thank you, Kaylin. We'll double-check the wake-up weather at the end of the broadcast tonight. Coming up next, we will chat with astrophysicist Rob Thacker about the biggest space stories of 2025. And we've got this coming up as well.
Hi, this is Ria Mae, and I have a brand new album called 2, and it's out now. Also, I'll be playing at the Lighthouse in Halifax March 14th. More about that coming up.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter.
How far did you go for a taste of home? Tomorrow at 7.
And it's your last week to pick up all the keywords to win $20,000. First keyword tomorrow at 6.
As the year winds down, we're starting to see the usual assortment of lists everywhere, marking notable events and achievements throughout the year. And given that many of us have an unquenchable thirst for interest in all things space, it's no surprise we asked our longtime friend, astrophysicist Rob Thacker, to give us his list of the top space stories of the year. We're delighted he agreed and that he's here to talk about it. Nice to see you again, Rob.
Oh, I'm delighted to be back again.
So tops on your list is a comet. I think that we're going to be seeing a little later this week. This is 31 Atlas, right?
3I Atlas, yeah. It's been a huge story this year for some reasons that I think are not the best reasons, but because it's literally the largest interstellar comet we've ever found. So this is something that's come from way outside the solar system, another planetary system, and that's got a lot of people saying, well, what could it be? Could it be like a spaceship or something? And the answer to that is no. It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, or probably is a duck, right? And so this really does look like a comet. But it's really amazing. It's got a lot of carbon dioxide relative to the amount of water it's got. So it's setting lots of really interesting things about what planet formation in other planetary systems might be like. So there's a lot of excitement about it.
How big physically is it, and will we see it here, like in the sky?
It's just a few kilometers across. It's not really that big. Its closest flyby of the Earth is literally a couple of days away, but it's not going to be something that we can see like some of the bigger comets we've known over the past few years.
Sure. Also on your list, significant developments in the private space race with the successful debut of Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket. This was a big deal, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, SpaceX has dominated the headlines in terms of orbital launches for a number of years now. And there's been a lot of eyes on Blue Origin. How would they do? And I think the answer is they've done pretty well. So they've had a couple of launches of New Glenn, the second of which had a big NASA mission on it. That went really, really well. They landed the booster, and there was a lot of jubilation about that. So I kudos to them. I mean, it's not just a one-horse race anymore.
So that was the Bezos company. SpaceX, owned by Elon, mixed kind of years, right? Some kind of spectacular fails as well.
I'd sort of say this is a tough year to be Elon, right? So it's been a hard year for them. They've had a number of missions with the big giant Starship rocket, the biggest rocket that's ever flown, and they didn't go so well. They did have a couple of really better, more successful missions towards the end of the year. But there's a lot of eyes on them. There's the little sort of like spat between them and NASA. Sean Duffy having a go at Elon having a go back. That's not great optics. I think they've got to get that sorted out and sort of move forward progressively.
Next on your list, something that took place, this was back in May, right? This was the restart of the thrusters on Voyager 1, which is just something we don't really talk about much anymore because it was, what, 40 years ago?
Yeah, no, I just love how Voyager keeps going and going and going, and everyone is like, what can it still do? And, well, the reality is it's still doing some really interesting physics out in space, looking at how the solar wind impinges on the gas that's between stars, the interstellar medium. And so there's a lot of interest in keeping the experiment going, and so they realized there was an issue with the orientation of the spacecraft and communicating back with the Earth, and the only way they could really solve it was to get some thrusters going again that hadn't worked in over 20 years, which basically amounted to clearing a blockage, turning a heater on, and then waiting to see if it all worked. Sure. They literally had this sort of like hours of waiting for the signal, but it all worked. So kudos to the NASA engineers.
Is Voyager 1 the one that's now like a full light day away?
Yeah, it's literally the farthest away object we've ever made, that humanity's ever made, and it just keeps on going. It's going to keep on going. I mean, that's the thing about space. Once you start going, you keep on going.
Keep on going forever. You also mentioned the Ruben telescope and starts taking in data. This is kind of a game changer, I'm sensing.
Yeah, this is like James Webb. We've seen so many amazing images from James Webb. The Ruben telescope's a really different idea. It's literally taking a movie of the night sky over every 3 days. And so we're going to be able to look for what we call transient events. This is breaking open a whole new field of transient astronomy. We tend to think of the sky as being sort of like fairly placid, not much happening up there, but already the Ruben telescope has found over 2,000 new asteroids already.
Wow.
Right, and so there's going to be a lot more coming in. I think we'll see hear a lot more about interstellar comets discovered by Ruben as well.
Will we see more like supernovas, that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the key things that's going to come out of the science that we do. There's already a large number of telescopes out there doing that kind of thing. Ruben will definitely contribute to that as well.
One other thing you flagged, and you flagged this before, you and I have talked about it, many other astronomers astronomers also expressing concerns. This is about just the sheer volume of satellites that are up there in space now, getting in the way of people like you who want to see what's going on.
Yeah, so we're worried about that right now. Right? So when you have a telescope down on the ground looking up, I mean, all the people talking about seeing Starlink and so on, that's going across our field of view, making some images basically impossible to use. And so we've been worried about that. The latest study is saying, well, how are things going to be if we have space telescopes, so literally something up in space, and then there are all of these other satellites around it?
Right.
What's the impact of that going to be? And it turns out, if you extrapolate out over the next 10 years, there could be as many as 500,000 satellites up there.
500,000?
Which is an insane number when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Like, I mean, we've got 10,000 up there with Starlink right now, right? So this is a big extrapolation. But if that happened, 40% of the images from the Hubble Space Telescope would be impacted by all of those satellite trails.
Wow. And yet there's talk now, too, of putting like whole data centers up there, right? Because you've got unlimited solar power. You don't have to cool anything because it's already cold. So now there's a push to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. And so literally the data center idea is run by the idea of you want to have the data where it's, or the compute where it's needed with the data in space. And so if we have information going up into space, then we need to be able to process it there quickly as well. So those kind of ideas are all coming together. But personally, I'm hopeful that we will see some suggestions like putting a cap on how high the satellites go. Above that, that's reserved for scientific use. That's what's being suggested. Hopefully people will listen.
Fingers crossed. Rob, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Always a pleasure, Bruce.
Always a pleasure to welcome Dr. Rob Thacker, well-known astrophysicist at St. Mary's University, and a chap we are always happy to host on this program because from the reaction we get, we know you're always happy to see him too. Happy holidays.
And to you.
We'll be right back. On the scene now with Katie in Nova Scotia, singer-songwriter Ria Mae is entering Chapter 2.
2 being the key word, that's right. With new fans, a new tour, and a brand new album called 2. For more than a decade, Ria Mae has been building a loyal fan base. And now, a whole new generation is finding her songs.
You know what? I've been a curmudgeon about TikTok, and then I thought, why not start in 2025? I started in February, and I just kept finding these people that said they grew up to my music.
Her catalog is suddenly everywhere again, sparking a renewed momentum, which led to a recent acoustic tour. Then, straight to her second full-length album.
I called it 2 because I'm not good at naming things.
So you're like, this is album number 2, we'll call it 2?
Self-titled was already taken, so I thought 2.
Behind the humor is a deeply personal record. Written during a difficult time, it touches on themes of motherhood, marriage, and mental health.
And I was having a bad winter, maybe an identity crisis. You know, after COVID, you're gonna see it soon once you have a kid. A lot of things happen, and I just decided to write through it.
While 2 explores heavy themes, Ria says the album ultimately moves toward hope.
Everyone's gonna relate to this feeling of like, I don't feel like myself right now, and then pushing through it, and it gets really positive at the end. And it just feels like a good collection of where I was in 2024.
And as always, 2 was a true group effort.
It started from me writing everything alone in a sad garage. In my backyard, and then I took it to many collaborators to sort of get my idea brought to life.
Now with her second album out in the world, Ria Mae is getting ready to bring it to the stage early next year. She wraps the first leg of her tour right here at home, March 14th at the Lighthouse Arts Centre in Halifax.
This is the full band showcasing of this new music. We're gonna do some of the old stuff as well, and we're gonna have some surprises big surprises at this Halifax show.
Ria Mae says 2 isn't just a second album. It's a chapter she's excited to share.
It just feels like my life, like a very, whether or not it does well, it's honest and it's my life, so I'm very proud of it.
Very talented individual.
Who does not love Ria Mae?
Nobody.
The music, but also the personality.
Yeah,
so
for
fun,
sure.
so
Yeah,
funny.
that's right, yeah.
So again, the show is at the Lighthouse Arts Center March 14th. Ria told me this one is already more than half sold out.
Oh, wow.
This is her Halifax show. So if you want to see Ria Mae, I would get tickets ASAP because that's going to be gone soon. Yes.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
We'll step aside with a look at the primetime lineup. On the markets, the Dow ended the day down 41 points. Canadian and U.S. stocks slipping today, trading just down from the record highs of last Thursday. BNN Bloomberg's Andrew Bell has more.
Hello there. Stocks moved slightly lower on Wall Street and Bay Street today amid ongoing worries that the investment boom in artificial intelligence has gone too far. However, shares are near the record highs they posted late last week. U.S. chipmaker Broadcom dropped again today, as did Oracle. Investors are awaiting crucial U.S. job numbers for October and November. That release is set for tomorrow after a delay caused by the government shutdown. Gold traded near all-time highs, boosting shares in Barrick Mining to a record. Inflation in Canada held steady last month, but so-called core measures broadly cooled amid slowing price growth in services. Headline inflation was 2.2% at a yearly pace in November. Citigroup economist Veronica Clark told BNN Bloomberg, quote, "It does look like some more positive signs of underlying inflation slowing." The Bank of Canada's next interest rate decision is on January 28th, and traders expect the bank to keep rates unchanged until at least October, when they see a possible hike. Here are the closing numbers on the markets. The Canadian dollar traded at 72.63 US cents, up a fraction. West Texas Intermediate oil was under pressure again. It changed hands at $56.61 US a barrel, down 83 cents. Our latest fix on Western Canadian Select oil, $44.43, up 37 cents. And the TSX Composite ended at 31,483.44, down just under 44 points. Those are your business headlines. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
Thank you, Andrew Bell. Now we'll head outside to Kaylin Mitchell for a look at the wake-up.
Thank you, Bruce. It's cold and gusty out here, but the wind will gradually diminish as we move through tonight. Let's take a look at a viewer picture for tonight. So, yeah, the snow can make for some tricky driving, that's for sure, but it can also lead to some beautiful scenes. This is that freshly fallen snow around Enfield, Nova Scotia last night, creating a bit of a winter wonderland. Looks fantastic with the Christmas decorations. Want to thank Sarah Wright very much for sharing that picture. Enfield for tomorrow, about a 30% chance of a flurry throughout the day. The high temperature near -5. Start of the day for tomorrow, morning temperatures several degrees below freezing, or in some cases down to the minus double digits, especially for New Brunswick. And the afternoon remains cold, mostly a mix of sun and cloud. The risk of snow squalls in the east of Nova Scotia will be lower as we go from the morning and into the afternoon. Now let's find out what's coming up on Your Morning Atlantic.
Tuesday on Your Morning Atlantic, the perfect fit.
And this week's Tia Tuesday, we'll meet a maritime entrepreneur whose background in fashion and costume design is benefiting her clients.
Start your morning with us Tuesday on Your Morning Atlantic on CTV2 and Crave.
Thank you, ladies. Finally tonight, when it comes to music, it seems younger generations are going old school. Vinyl record sales are rising by an average of 18% per year over the past half-decade. That's according to a report from the Future Source Consulting Audio Tech Lifestyles. The study says nearly 60% of Gen Z music fans say they like the aesthetic of records. 37% say they use vinyl to decorate their homes. One high-profile person who's helping with all this boost in vinyl is Taylor Swift. 5 of her albums were listed in the U.S. top 10 list of best-selling vinyl albums of 2024. So Taylor's doing her part. That is the program for this Monday night. A reminder, CTVNewsAtlantic.ca updates right around the clock. I'm Bruce Frisco in for Todd Battis. I'll be back with your next newscast later tonight. Thank you for watching this one. Good night. See you.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast. Watch live on Crave.